Hey guys, just tuning in here to let you know that the Holistic HA Practitioner Certification will be reopening for enrollment as of September 5th through to the 8th. So if turning your mess into your message and creating a career or adding recovery coaching to your existing health practice or even running it as a side hustle sounds like a path that you want to take, this is the certification for you. The HHAP, the HAP program, is an accredited course and is the only certification specifically for HA coaches and practitioners. In this program, Ashley and I have laid out our entire framework essentially for working with women with hypothalamic amenorrhea. So everything you need to know from what is this, how is it working, why is it manifesting, through to teaching you the process of coaching and understanding the best practices and what you're most likely to see in practice and how to handle those situations. So we're really giving you everything from the physiology to the intake process to protocol development, tracking progress, making adjustments to plans, and all throughout we're teaching the soft skills needed to help get buy-in from your clients so that they can actually make meaningful changes that are necessary to recover for life. So if you're interested, head to our website, thehasociety.com/certification to download the full syllabus and learn all about the course. If you need, you can book a discovery call with me to chat about the certification, ask any questions that you have, and really just learn whether or not this certification is right for you at the stage that you are at. So again, that's thehasociety.com/certification. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Hypothalamic Amenorrhea podcast. I'm Dani, your host, certified fertility awareness practitioner, functional nutrition counselor, and founder of the HA Society, and of course, an HA recovery coach who has walked where you currently are walking. This is the place to come if you care about getting your period regularly. This podcast aims to educate, inform, and keep you motivated on your period and HA recovery track. So let's dive in. But last thing, nothing on the show should be taken as medical advice, so please seek the advice of your physician.
I said it because it's so rare that she's only.
That's okay. I just hit record mid-sentence.
No.
Maybe it would be interesting anyways. Hey everyone, welcome back to the HA podcast. It's me, Dani, here with Mishi and Ashley.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, today we're doing Q&A stuff. I have them all over the various platforms, so I have all my devices. Before we do, how is everyone?
Good.
Yeah.
Other than I just had Wi-Fi rage, but that's not the topic of today. But
yeah, I mean, we're below.
Other than that, I'm shifting out of that.
That's okay. It happens. I also find in the heat, for some reason, I tend to struggle with connection. I feel like the internet struggles in Texas in summer.
It does.
Okay. Wow. I just wanted to do a Q&A. I think they're really fun episodes all the time to just ask questions. People have submitted them via email, via Instagram, and via YouTube comments. I love all those pipes. Pick your pipe. Heck, people can comment on Spotify now. So like that's been happening. So whatever you guys want to do, I'm going to try and find it and collect it. Let's dive in. Okay. Rebecca ! Asks, Hi, I recovered from HA a year ago, but a couple of months ago, I cut my carbs to help lower my blood sugar. Evidently, the lower carbs were not enough to support my activities, daily walking and strength training 3 to 4 times per week, and I lost my period about a week ago. Since then, I have stopped strength training and increased my carbs and calories so that I'm all in quotations, to restore my period. I'm heartbroken to lose all the progress I made in the past year working on body composition after gaining weight to get my period back. I'm just wondering if you have any advice. Do I really need to go all in? I feel like there's so much here.
Yes.
Do you want me to like share this question on my screen so that you can just like,
Yes. I
add
need to
it?
visually dissect this.
Yeah. There you go. Zoom it in, make it big. There it
Okay.
is.
I guess my question would be is like to help lower her blood sugar. Like, how do we know that her blood sugar
Let's
is
just
high?
start in order of the things that came
Yes.
up in the email.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, not sure where it came from. Like, why are you trying to lower your blood sugar? Was your blood sugar high? What's wrong?
Do we know it's high? Also, you might
Yeah.
want to check your thyroid because that's probably going to play a role as well too. Yes. So, I mean, but then also, so this isn't a tangent. This is related. I did get an application the other day asking if we help women who optimize their cycle. And I was like, well, we mainly focus on restoring cycles, but that is something that we do. Like, we don't just restore the cycle and leave you hanging.
I
But
would
feel like,
love it to have a cycle optimization business. I just know it would be really hard to sell.
yeah. So I did tell her, like, this is actually something that we do very well. This is something that, because I think it's rude to just restore a cycle and then leave someone hanging. And maybe this is potentially what happened, especially when it's just like on your own type of thing, you know? So my question would be, it's interesting, again, well, the general public always just says lower carbs, but I bet you if she added protein minimum 3 times a day, she would achieve lowering her blood sugar levels if indeed it, I don't think, okay, and here, I don't think it needs to be lowered. I think it needs to be stabilized. So there's that.
And I wonder too, just from reading the rest of the email, guys, because like what we do is dissect words and find like the actual story. And I feel like, Rebecca, you didn't really provide to us like the symptoms or why you're feeling like you need your blood sugar lowered. And I'm wondering, right, and forgive if we're wrong, if we're totally missing context, but if you're saying, I did it to lower my blood sugar, but you actually just did it to cut your calories because you don't want to gain weight, which the rest of this email is screaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my biggest thing is I'm just going to go on a limb and say that she's potentially not eating enough protein and she potentially does need to stabilize blood sugar levels, but cutting carbs, as she has found, is not the way to do it. And we see this actually a lot. We see this with people who've been misdiagnosed with PCOS. They're like, you know, they have been told by somebody to cut their carbs, and what it does is it leads them down HA lane, and they're like, I'm like stuck in this roundabout and I don't know how to get out, type of thing. So we're just going to go in that direction, that most likely she needs help stabilizing her blood sugar levels, and that's going to require taking a look at her food and providing her feedback. But I could bet she probably needs more protein and fat. Yeah, so there's that. We're gonna think out of it as of like, what is she possibly? But
it's like you can't just cut your carbs and not increase everything else as well.
Yeah, because I would add to that is like, you can eat enough calorically, but if you are under eating carbohydrates, that can trigger a starvation response in your brain and you will lose your period. So carbs are absolutely essential.
And think about if, you know, like the only thing she did was cut her carbs, and that's what sent her teeter-tottering and dip back into HA then. And also, how long has she lost her cycle? Like, is it just one cycle? Is this just
she said a week ago. So that means
so this is like a delayed cycle.
It's really just a delayed cycle.
Okay.
For now, right? It's not until it has definitely not happened for like, and I got this question actually the other day, like, at what point do you say that it's a missed cycle or just like a delayed one, you know?
Yeah, good question.
Well, and I guess because we have like some solid statistical evidence to say that post HA you could expect ovulation to potentially take up to 45 days. So I stick with 2 months. like
Oh,
a
so
month
like
mark.
2 months is your like,
If you haven't ovulated by cycle day 45, they're like, I'm going to be less friendly towards the idea that this is the natural amount of time that it's taking for your second period to come, right? Because of course we want it to get shorter and shorter, and we want like those, we don't want 45 days to be the norm, but maybe for the second one we can expect that because that is high, like reported, right? I don't know if it means it's right or good, but that is what the evidence suggests it you know.
What about if you're just a regular person that has not had HA?
I think that you should always be curious about delayed ovulation, right? It happens. I think it's a part of being a woman, is every now and then something's going to happen and you're going to have to ovulate late. Don't stress about it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not a big deal. That's a part of being a woman. It's great that you're aware that it's late, so you don't panic and type in like to Google, like, help, am I pregnant? But but certainly like just being aware of what causes it and why, and then if that starts to prolong, you know, having the wherewithal to know that it's probably related to something that you're doing is important. And you know, 3 months is what is said for HA, right? In like the diagnostic criteria, 3 months no period, HA.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I like 45 because I'm like, okay, something's up. By then, like, it's not just like, you know, I don't, yeah. So technically she probably hasn't reached, I don't want to like demotivate her, but I would just say that right now she just has a delayed cycle. And so her next sentence is actually really interesting. And since then I've stopped strength training and increased my carbs and calories so that I'm all in to restore my period. And I think this is where coaching is so helpful, because if you're coaching with us, then it's like you would have already known that this was approaching, because we would have taught you how to look at your chart and be like, oh, I missed ovulation. Oh, there's a lack of cervical mucus. Oh, these changes that I made, my body's not happy with. And so it's interesting that I feel like I'm sensing one swing to the other, like she swung and cut her carbs and now she's swinging back the other way. And really and truly, you probably don't need to stop strength training. You probably don't need to stop walking. You probably just need to add your carbs back in and add some fatty or protein sources. Yeah. And like, you're probably going to be just fine. And so I think this is where it could feel so like, what is my body telling me? What is it asking for? And
yeah, after 1 week of delay, it's like,
yeah,
and
right?
you've been recovered for a year. You've been training, getting a period, and you have 1 week delay. Props for being on top of it and aware and being curious, like, oh my gosh, what is this? And being aware that like, okay, maybe a couple months ago it is related to the cutting of carbs, but like, no, you don't have to go all in again, which is her which is her actual question.
Bring back some carbs. Don't be slicing those suckers. Back to our original thing of stabilizing blood sugar balance. And then obviously the other question is, have you been ovulating? Because if you haven't been ovulating and you've been like riding the edge of how much, because she said that I'm heartbroken to lose all the progress I made in the past year working on body composition after gaining weight, which lets me know, is there a possibility that she's actually not been ovulating and this is the result and her body's finally like, screw you, I'm not doing it. I've held on for the last couple of months and given you a bleed, but I haven't been ovulating. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind as well too, is like, this could be a reflection of habits from the past 6 months, because HA doesn't happen overnight. So
yeah. And Rebecca, what I would add is, you know, I was a heavier dieter in my past, and I had really never lost my cycle until I cut carbs. I would say I was always on the spectrum though with all of my dieting. However, I never actually lost my cycle until I cut carbs. And so I think the takeaway that I would give you would be balance. Like, even in your statement and in your actions, there seems to be a lot of imbalance. So I would just find balance, and then I would find balance in the way that we're eating as well. So not cutting carbs, but making sure everything is in balance with protein and fat as well.
Are you listening to this show hoping to get some golden nuggets to help you on your way to recovery? Well, great. I hope that you find them, because that is exactly what this show is for. But if you really want to take your recovery all the way, completely commit and get on track with your goals, whether they be finally feeling overall healthy, finally getting pregnant, or finally getting back to training, you'll want to join us inside of the HA Society. Not only is this the perfect community to ask questions and get your support and the accountability that you so often need during these uphill battles with body image and understanding nutrition and incorporating exercise, but it's also a hub of exclusive resources for HAs. All of the HA podcast episodes are released in advance and completely ad-free, so you can listen on the go to the raw, unedited versions uninterrupted. All of the one-on-one coaching calls, of which we have 2 a week in different time zones, are uploaded to our private podcast feed so that you can listen to events with practitioners and the past community calls as though they were bonus podcast episodes, because I know how much you love to listen to this kind of stuff. And in these calls, we cover requested topics like overcoming the weight gain fears, communicating with friends and family about our HA, diving into how HA works, and debunking the imposter syndrome that so many of us have around this diagnosis. There's also an entire resources section with lectures, workshops, and training from the past events that are hosted by experts like Sarah Liz King, Laura Lyons, Kaylee McDevitt, Holly Dunn, and many more. As a member, you also get direct access to myself and Coach Ashley in the DMs. So if you have personal questions or need individualized advice about your recovery, we're in there answering your questions in the DMs, as are all of our other members in the group who impress me week after week with how they show up for each other. It's incredible. It's like women are just all becoming mini coaches for each other. It's so good. The HA Society is really the place to be if you're going through recovery, no matter what stage you're at. Whether you have HA or you've got a few recovery periods, we have your back and we're all your new best friends. So come and meet us at thehasociety.com/join. That's thehasociety.com/join, and the link is in the show notes for you. Okay, on with the show. For real. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I feel like we could keep talking about that whole thing, but we won't. We'll keep it moving.
That was a good one.
It really was a good one.
Yeah, that was a good one. Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay. All right.
I hope you like take that picture and like post it up here. So while we're like answering it, like it's just question. That'd be cute in the edit.
I'm not editing any of this.
Okay, fine. But it would be cute.
Well, I screen shared it the whole time. So we are going to be over in the corner. I can do that again if you want. Here you go. So we're over to YouTube for the moment. I have some questions from people. Scribbletoon asks, what if I don't have hunger cues in recovery? I'm not hungry every day and I'm so confused why. What should I do to get hungry?
Eat.
Right. Well, so sometimes we have this peptide that can show up. It shows up, and I'm not saying that you're anorexic. I'm just saying it has been proven to show up in anorexic clients where it actually decreases hunger, right? So I bring this up because clearly we can see someone who's in an anorexic state and be like, how's that chick not hungry? And there is a peptide that winds up, reducing hunger, right? And so my suspicion is that we, as individuals who have HA, experience some level or some increase in that peptide. And I think it's really interesting. I think it's PYY I'll have to look it up, but it's one of those. And also really and truly cortisol. We get so comfortable riding the cortisol train that we're not hungry. And then when your anxiety is up, you're not hungry. So when your body's stressed out, you're not hungry. And we're really stuck in this fight or flight, and we're not switching over. This is one of the biggest signs that my clients have not switched over into the parasympathetic state, is because they're just stuck in the fight or flight, and they're not able to weave in and out. And whenever you're able to weave in and out appropriately, you're able to feel your hunger cues. You're able to hear hunger, right? And plus, so there's many reasons, but I feel like those are my top reasons that I see. And then I'm sure there's like a whole lot that we can dig into.
Yeah. Well, the question of just like, what should I do to get hungry? Like Mishi said at the beginning, is eat more. It's really a thing of like, if that's going to happen for you, you do need to refeed, right? You can't just like bump calories up a little bit. You do need to refeed.
Yeah, and I think this is where mechanical eating comes in, where it's like, that you need to eat, so you're going to eat based off of that information. Not everything is about our feelings.
Yes.
Yeah, I would start with breakfast first. If your hunger cues have gone offline, definitely start with breakfast first and just do it for 2 weeks. I guarantee it'll come back.
And stop drinking coffee, maybe as well, might help.
Yes. Yes. No fizzy waters. If you're drinking more than 1 cup, and yes, Dani, okay. If you're drinking more than 1 cup, if you're drinking coffee throughout the day, if you're drinking fizzy waters, if you're drinking a gallon of water a day, and you're telling me that you're not hungry, it's because we have selectively chosen certain waters or fluids that chases off hunger and gives us this fullness. And kind of like that cortisol, like there is this like cortisol high, like it almost feels good to move past this hunger, and then it catches, like that cortisol high catches, and then like you're like, I feel amazing. Mishi, didn't you overhear a conversation where this chick was like, I fast for 18 hours and I feel amazing, right? It's because it's a cortisol.
My gosh. Yes, I went to donate blood the other day, and this lady ahead of me was telling everybody about how she fasts for 18 hours a day and she feels fantastic.
She's probably just hungry. That's why she's telling everybody.
Oh, yeah. Well, she ended up getting denied because her blood pressure and her heart rate was too low. So there's that. So we know that like she's actually doesn't feel that great. I really, really wanted to ask her about her cycle, but
Nice side note, 2 things too, that from both of you, what you brought up. So that has happened to me too before, when I went to donate blood and I was rejected for the same reason. Right. And they sat down with me, and for whatever reason, they felt the need to over communicate to me that like, the reasons why I couldn't do it. I was like, fine, whatever. But they kept on telling me it's a good thing. I'm jealous. It's like, you're too healthy. It's like, you're so healthy that it's just going to make it hard for us to get enough blood. I swear to God that this is a true story.
I'm like so baffled. Like, well, that didn't happen to this lady, because that came into my mind of where it was like, well, if I were at a doctor's office right now, I would be being told that this is like amazing, like you're so healthy. But the lady literally handed her a pamphlet of like, you need to eat.
Oh yeah. Well, they told me, just next time you come, just like drink a soda before you come.
Oh God.
So, I mean, it's crazy out there. And then the thing you were saying on about water, Ashley, like the fizzy drinks and all the good stuff. Well, I was actually having a conversation earlier today with one of our clients from the Restore program. She's a primary care doctor, and she was kind of saying how like apparently, I think we had talked about this on another episode maybe. And so it's why she brought it up, or in one of our community calls, that if you walk around with like a big gallon bottle of water all the time, and you have this, like, it's a diet rule, right? One of the diet rules that came up for her in her diet rule audit, which is a part of the program, that she would have to drink all this water, like, drink all this water all the time. So you're always full of water. But in her clinical training, when she did like her residencies and stuff, she remembers being told by like the kidney specialists and stuff, like, just drink water when you are thirsty. Like, please do not. And that a lot of people get hospitalized for overhydration. And that is a massive diet rule. And so many women are trying to block their hunger by drinking excessive water. And it's like, it's diet advice that is commonly given.
As medical advice.
As medical advice. And a lot of women through HA continue doing that because it's a rule they can hold on to safely.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And now that I'm like, 2.5 years and then 6 months before Nuggie, whatever, I never carry water with me. Y'all, guys.
No, me either. I like love it. It's so much easier.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, thank gosh, one last thing. But I used to carry so much water. But so I used to live in the desert, and I used to live in Yucca Valley, and it was only 4 hours to Vegas, right? So I would just pop up there for like the week and whatever. I remember one time I was like, I'm healthy, look at me, and I have my water, and plus water safety in the desert. Anyways, I remember I like had to pull over twice on the way to Vegas. Couldn't even make it to like the next rest stop because it's in the middle of nowhere, and had to pull over and pee on the side of the road because I was just always drinking so much, but with such urgency. I was like, if this is how I am like at 30, what is my life as an older adult? Like what am I, you know what I mean? I was just like, the urgency, it actually shocked me as I was peeing excessively, looking at like the cactuses, being like, I know, like, this probably isn't normal. Because I was just like flushing out my system. Of course, my pee was always clear because that was always like the gold standard, aka that means you have no electrolytes. And I wasn't putting any electrolytes in my water. I wasn't even putting any salt back then because I had no idea. I was literally just like waterboarding my system, basically. Yeah. So now I don't carry water with me.
Who is that coach from the Biggest Loser? I forget what her name is.
Jillian Michaels.
Yeah. I'll like remember her. It was either a post or something. She was like, I don't know verbatim what she said, but basically she was just like, you're so healthy when you pee clear. And I was like, oh gosh, this couldn't be.
I mean, she's famous for awful advice. She's famous for awful advice.
For awful advice. Yeah. Okay. Way to like never. Okay, great. Like, how do you get famous for awful advice so where like people aren't even upset when it comes from you anymore?
That's interesting. The one thing I wanted to say about the doctor comment of where it's like, man, diet culture is so strong that she neglected that piece of education that she had gotten before about like, you should probably just drink when you're thirsty, but like diet culture actually is like, no, I should just drink.
Oh no, yeah, she openly admitted, like so many do, that she just felt like it just didn't apply to her.
Yeah,
but that's the whole HA journey. None of this applies to me. I am the unicorn.
Not like you can say it out loud and still not break any HIPAA rules because it's just everyone.
Yeah.
I just feel like we should get unicorn hats, and like whenever it's this doesn't apply to me because I am a unicorn.
I just press a button and it like flies across the screen.
Yes. Something. See, you're gonna have to edit.
Yeah. I think the long and the short of that whole question for her is like, hunger isn't wrong. And I just think as women, we have, and maybe men are also included in this too, is that hunger is bad. It's wrong. And it's not, it's a like biological sign that your body needs something from you. Like if you had to pee, you wouldn't just hold it, you would go to the bathroom. So like, why, if your body's saying I'm hungry, are we all like, oh my gosh, I have to do something about this and not eat? It just blows my mind.
Yeah. Well, someone came out with like the great idea that like, if you ignore this, you'll be thin. And we just like ran with that. One of my my best friend from in high school. I haven't spoken to her in many years, but I remember she had lost tons of weight. I hadn't seen her for a bit because I left school, she stayed in school, and I saw her and she had just lost tons of weight. And she was like, this is like year 11. You know what I mean? Like, you're practically an adult. And she's like, did you know banana bread is healthy? And like, if you're Australian, you know that banana bread is like a national food. Banana bread is everywhere.
I do love banana bread.
Banana bread's great. And she was like, it's a health food. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, and this might be triggering. It's like trigger warning. But she's like, all I do is eat 2 pieces of banana bread a day. And I lose all this weight.
Wait, that's all she ate all day?
All day?
Well, obviously, duh.
Yeah. And
It wasn't the banana
all
bread.
day. You can you can eat 2 crickets all day and you'd lose weight. You could eat 2 pieces of watermelon all day. You know what I mean? Oh, bless.
But it was the association with this and with weight loss and health, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, actually, that's a different thing that you're doing. They're totally separate things, right? But it shows like how the blurred lines between this, and it's a good example because every single one of us have come across a situation where we have heard someone referring to how little they eat as a health protocol.
Well, if we go back to the fasting lady, like, I felt like that's what she was doing. She's like, I eat so little. Like, I'm such a good person.
Yeah, I mean, it's that, like, some people definitely see it, right? And many of us have seen it as making you a good person, right?
Yeah,
So
been there.
Okay. Moral Bliss 78 asks or says, I have a question for one of your next Q&A videos. Is there is there ever a point after weight restoration and HA recovery that one doesn't have to eat as soon as she wakes up in the morning? I'm still never hungry as soon as I wake up, usually before 5 a.m. during the week, and have forced myself to eat anyway. I've had going on 5 recovery bleeds so far, all exactly 28-day cycles. So I would think that I'm pretty recovered, quotes. Thanks. Interesting. Do you guys need me to keep that question up, or do you feel like you've got it?
I feel like I got it. I feel like I'm never hungry at 5 a.m. It's just too early.
I have been. I was early on in recovery. And remember when, and I've talked about this a lot, I was struggling to get my postpartum period back. Just a little delayed. I was being a little bit lackadaisical with things. I had to get back on board with that. And my hunger did pick up again. And for a while, I was hungry as soon as I woke up, but it did subside again eventually too. So this is my experience with it. Did you ever have the 5 a.m. hunger, Mishi?
No, because I don't wake up at 5 a.m.
My body would like wake me up at 5 a.m.
Oh, like you're talking about in recovery, like hunger pains type. I had those types of experience where I was like so hungry that I would wake up from that, but that was from under eating.
Yeah. No, I made it a rule that if I don't have to get up, I will not be getting up before 7 a.m. So
your kid sleeps that late. That's psychotic.
Yeah, Nugs definitely sleeps late. Just because I don't know, I just feel like the one way I give my adrenals a hug, because I'm sure I burn it at other ends. And so like, this is a combination different for everybody, right? Some people, I mean, I feel like if I don't keep myself in check, like I will burn the candle at both ends. So my way of giving my adrenals a hug is not waking up at 5 a.m. You know what I mean? Unless I have to, right? So like for me, that's my self-care, is that this chick ain't getting up until she naturally opens her eyeballs. Now, obviously having a kid, thankfully she sleeps in, now. So I feel like that. But I have been getting up, but with that, I have been getting up because my schedule has changed. And even then I am not hungry, but I will eat a protein bar on the way to the gym.
Okay.
So I will still force myself to eat.
Yeah, like if I have to catch like a super early flight or something and I am up that early, I have like an adrenal cocktail, or yeah, like Ashley, I have some sort of bar. Like I do still consume some sort of glucose and protein, like, or some sort of calories just to give my body something until when I get to that destination spot, I can sit down and have something to eat. I don't absolutely just like have coffee or something. I don't know.
This person is saying she wakes up before 5 a.m. on the weekdays, so she has a job in with which she has to wake up, is going to be the assumption. So she can't do what you do, Ash, or Mishi.
Well, I would just say have a
Maybe.
protein bar. Then
Yeah.
yes, the answer is yes. Have a protein bar until like at least just get yourself to work. And then if you want to eat at work, have like your actual traditional breakfast or whatever you feel good with. But yes, if I have to get up, I'm eating still.
Exactly. Just watch your chart. If you
Mhm.
ovulate and everything's good, do whatever you want, right? That's the magic of it, is that like, you don't have to guess. Is what I'm doing fine? Or am I going backwards? Am I ovulating? Am I not? And then if you're, so like me, I had to do those things. Currently I'm not. I'm eating like roughly an hour into having woken up, and it's just fine, so. Okay. I think we might have time for one more.
Let's do it.
Okay. I'm trying to find where it went. I'm sorry, I can't find it, so I'm going to bring up this Instagram one that I have. Quests. All right. Akila says, hi, I wanted to ask a question about HA. I lost my period around 9 months ago due to anorexia, but I started recovering at the start of May. I dealt with huge amounts of extreme hunger. It's the theme. Huge amounts of extreme hunger, but it has worn off now that I think I'm in or close to my set point range. Once it wore off, I noticed I got cervical mucus. It was not really wet when I saw it. It was just dried up. It came consistently for a couple of days, even while I had sports going on. And I think I stopped eating as much as I was, and it stopped coming. Is that normal? How can I get it back ASAP? Please let me know. Also, I forgot to mention, it also stopped after I took a herbal laxative. Does that contribute at all? Okay. So
She's there. Okay. I love that.
well, I'm trying to understand. Okay. 9 months ago, lost period due to anorexia. So very recent eating disorder. Got it. Huge amounts of extreme hunger. Makes sense. But that wore off because I gained weight. You think you're close to your set point range. We tend to not necessarily take personal opinions on that into account, but we will acknowledge you have gained weight. Once it wore off, the extreme hunger wore off, hormonal symptoms began, such as cervical mucus. But not a lot, just dried up cervical mucus, she's kind of saying. And it was consistent for a few days. And I think that I stopped eating as much, which means I stopped eating as much. And it stopped coming. Is that normal? Okay. Yes, if you have had anorexia and you were eating more and you saw positive progress and then you stopped eating as much and all that progress went away, that would be considered normal. But I think what she means is that okay that happened?
So I think that this is where it's very interesting how the body is so firm with its boundaries, as in until I get X amount of food consistently, I'm not going to turn on like the HPO axis. And instead, we could see years of hormonal activity and yet never get to a place where it's enough to trigger ovulation. And so hormonal activity isn't just the goal, because even with hormonal activity, you're still potentially very low in estrogen because it's not enough to trigger ovulation. And then therefore you're not ever getting progesterone, right? And so therefore we still run the risk of other things being not optimal, like your thyroid and your adrenals, right? So what happens is that we have this hormonal activity that does point that what you were doing, AKA eating more, was the right thing. And as soon as you pulled back, your body was like, poof, no. So that's kind of
and I would be so interested to understand why the laxative came into play. Was that something where you felt like you needed to still feel thin, or were you feeling some sort of like constipation of some sort? So if it's the constipation piece or digestion piece, like that also tells us that, like, you know, you still have like a sluggish metabolism because like your digestion is moving super slow too. And so all the things that Ashley just mentioned are going to help support your digestion. So eating more is going to help, you know, alleviate constipation and alleviate digestive discomfort. So I'd just be curious of what the laxative and how that fell into there.
Yeah, probably has underperforming digestion and bowel movements, you know, probably pretty common.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm sure the downregulated T3 is not helping due to pulling back on food.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear a lot of like all this stuff happened not that long ago and I'm still exercising, right? Because she was like due to sports. You know, so I'm still exercising and I titrated down on food. And I'm wondering if this is related to my missing period. 100%. 100%.
How long did she say that she had her cycles? A year? No.
You're thinking back to the first person.
Right. No, this chick had anorexia 9 months ago, something. Fill me in. I forgot.
Yeah, 9 months ago.
And she started recovery in May.
At the start of May. Too soon to be backing off on eating, if that's your history, especially, but really for anyone.
Well,
so yeah,
anybody.
Any change you make, if you made progress and then you back off, what do you expect? You know, is that's definitely going to happen. And, you know,
well, even when someone gets their first recovery cycle, your like HPO is still going to be sensitive, let alone you just came off of anorexia. It's extremely sensitive.
Don't be getting it twisted just because you may have gotten a period, which she didn't actually mention. I don't think so. I don't think she even got a recovery period. You know what I mean? But just because you like saw some hormonal progress is so far from meaning that you should stop doing what you're doing. So like it doesn't mean, oh, okay, I started it and now it's going. You know, you have to keep pushing the stone, right? Like you have to keep doing that. So Akila, I think that you're probably just like kind of moving back to habits that are more comfortable for you. And you need to go back to what has been working. And I know that you feel like you're close to your set point weight. And that's probably the thing that's really mentally like making you feel like you shouldn't have to continue this process. But you're actually likely not at your set point weight. You didn't provide any numbers for us, but just like what we know from like practice. But yeah, don't let that make you feel like you need to be stopping what you're doing. And with that, thank you guys for listening. If you have a question you want to submit, please do so wherever you want. Pick your pipe. And you can follow us on Instagram at the HA Society. And everyone's bios are linked in the description. So you can go and follow everyone and just like get your solid dose of recovery motivation. Everyone have a great day and we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Grassland Nutrition beef liver capsules. Did you know that in terms of nutrient density, beef liver actually blows vegetables and fruits out of the water? If you're a client of mine, you have already been instructed to eat beef liver either fresh or in capsule form. I recommend it for anyone and everyone who is, of course, dealing with amenorrhea and fertility challenges out there, but I may even recommend it for just everyone in general. Get your husbands on it, get your partners on it. If you have a history of HA and add on top of that maybe a history of the pill, maybe you've been pregnant before, through treatments or other, your body's been through anything, you're absolutely 100% dealing with a nutrient deficiency of some kind. And while it's true that testing is going to be the best way to understand those exact deficiencies, eating nutrient-dense, real food is going to be one of the most important next steps that you take with or without testing. So I've been using and recommending Grassland Nutrition beef liver capsules for years now. And the capsule form makes it so easy to get your liver in every day. And I appreciate the transparency of this product in particular above others. So in case you're wondering, it's completely natural. This is freeze-dried beef liver in capsules. It's organic, it's made from Australian beef, and my favorite of their products is the liver with kelp because of the iodine from the kelp, which is important for overall thyroid function, which is often low in women with underperforming hormones. So rather than eat seaweed snacks every day, I get to take this beef liver with the kelp for my iodine. So if you're recovering or working on a fertility journey right now, do not skimp the nutrient-rich source of beef liver. Get 10% off your order with the HA Society and support your favorite podcast along the way. They ship to most countries, so you should be covered. Just go to grasslandnutrition.net and use HA Society, just HA Society, at the checkout for the 10% off. That's grasslandnutrition.net with the code HA Society. Thank you so much for listening today, guys. Please subscribe to the podcast, and if you could head to iTunes specifically and leave a rating or review, that would help so much because it makes it easier for other people with HA who are Googling around to find the podcast really easily. So if you do that, you're doing a service to all of the women